In 2008, a woman in South Carolina went through a nightmare no one could imagine. Her husband had been missing for several days, and during that time the police had found a body they believed was him. They brought her to the morgue to make a positive identification. It was a cold, dreary day. As she walked into the morgue, her eyes welled up with tears. There, on a stainless steel table, was a body that the police said was her husband. He was lying face down, his face battered and bruised, his clothes torn and dirty. But she recognized those clothes. They were her husband's favorite shirt and jeans. With trembling hands, she reached out and gently turned the body over. It was then that she saw his face, or what was left of it. It was so swollen and discolored that she could barely make out any recognizable features. But she knew in her heart that this was her husband. She whispered through her tears, "That's him," sealing his fate. The next day, she buried her husband. Her friends and family members came to mourn with her. They hugged her, offering words of comfort and support. She felt their love and appreciated their presence. Her life would never be the same, or so she thought. But 3 days later, just as the initial shock and grief began to sink in, there was a knock at her front door. She went to answer it and froze in her tracks. Standing on her doorstep was her husband, alive and well. It turned out that the police had made a devastating mistake. The man she identified in the morgue wasn't her husband. It was another victim who had been killed in a random street fight. The injuries to his face were so severe that even his own family struggled to recognize him. Since he had no ID on him, the officers on the scene leaned on her emotional confirmation, assuming that she was a grieving widow who just wanted to identify her husband's body and move on with the funeral arrangements. As you can probably guess, she was devastated to learn that she had identified the wrong body. Her real husband, meanwhile, had been missing for several days, but he wasn't dead. He had gone on a massive drinking binge and had vanished from the face of the earth. He didn't even realize that she had prepared his funeral and buried him. This tragic case raised serious questions about morgue procedures and how identifications are handled in such emotionally charged situations. It also highlighted the fallibility of eyewitness testimony and the importance of considering all available evidence before making a final determination. For this woman, the pain was doubled. First, she had to mourn the loss of a man she thought was her husband. Then she had to live with the trauma of knowing that she had buried someone else's loved one. This is a chilling reminder that sometimes the dead don't stay buried and the truth has a way of knocking on your door when you least expect it.